You're in Braves country.
Afternoon, Braves country. Hope y'all are having a good week. And programming note for everyone who might be wanting to know what's going on with Once Upon a Pastime series. We'll be back next week. Had a minor surgery yesterday. That's all you really need to know. Trust me, that's all you want to know. And anyways, everything went well, and we're back to rolling on Thursday nights, Once Upon a Pastime series. Next Thursday, it will be the Fernandez Valenzuela, Fernando Mania. We'll take a look at that. We got a bunch more on the way. We'll get into all that in a bit. But let's go ahead and get into it. It's just about 4:20, maybe a couple of minutes past. Smoke them if you got them. Let's do this.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
What's all the shouting?
Extra, extra, read all about it.
What's all the shouting?
All right. We're starting this on a new time. It's 4:20 Eastern, so we figured we'd play with the smoke 'em if you got 'em. We all know what the 4:20 means. We don't have to get into that and explain that. If you know, you know. And we'll take you all the way up to the 5 o'clock hour, where we will get out of your hair, because it's always 5 o'clock somewhere, right? So that'll be the basis of these shows. Want to get them a little tighter and get them going, because we are going live on some radio stations this week. More and more are picking us up as we go along. And so there we go. So we will come on your feed at 4:20, and we'll get started usually 4:20 on Fridays and be done by 5. All right. So the Smoke 'em if you got 'em segment, what we have here is we are getting into, let me see. The first thing we want to hit up. So one of the things that we have going on here is we got some clips I want to play for you, because what the Smoke 'em if you got 'em will be the big topics, the stuff that's going on, the big news. Not a ton of big news, but there are big rumors. So Smoke 'em if you got 'em. SNIT happens. That will be things that went on, and that means Travis Darnold is on the way. And at about a quarter till, we'll have Rumor Has It. That's when we'll get heavy into the rumors. But we did want to hit up this, because this is I'd say this is the big news of Major League Baseball at this point. So we're going to play this clip right now. And that is, where's Juan Soto going? Because you got to realize, when Juan Soto signs, he kind of sets the market. And once he sets the market, you're going to be talking about other dominoes falling. The other big thing is, I do want to hit up before we go on to this, is a big round of applause to Mr. Chris Sale, winning comeback player of the year, and he was MLB All-First Team. And why wouldn't he be? He was the Triple Crown winner of the National League. What did he finish with? 18 wins, a 2.38 ERA, and 225 strikeouts. Unfortunately, he wasn't there for the postseason, which will be the theme going in this year, because once again, our pitching ran out of gas. I don't know how, but it always seems to happen, and you know that's going to be an issue for this off season for Anthopoulos. It seems like we've been hit with the injury bug all. After the 2021 season, we won it all. We've been hit with that injury bug since then. The other thing before we get to the Soto stuff is, I don't know if you saw it, but Mookie Betts claimed that, Mookie Betts during the celebration has said that other people have asked him, what do you tell other players that are competing against you, is what I'm trying to say. And he said that basically they're going to win every championship from here to 2000 for the next 7 years. For the next 7 years. So to me, that's kind of LeBron James-esque, except he did win a championship here before he did it. But you're talking about the next 7 years, as difficult as it is to win one championship. That was the Dodgers' first real championship since 1988. I get it. They got the bubble ship. Some people will appreciate that. I'm one of the ones in the corner of, I don't look at any of the bubble ships as real championships. They were great tournament victories, but it doesn't feel real because you didn't have fans, you didn't have travel, you went into a bubble and you played in a bubble, and so it's really not the same thing. It's really almost like an AAU tournament. All right, here we go. The first thing that you might have missed today, talking about Soto, John Morosi, who is a very well-respected insider, this is what he had to say.
About Juan Soto was this. I like the fact that we talk about different options that exist here. that the Red Sox are involved, the Blue Jays are involved, the fundamentals here still tell me he's going to play in New York for either the Yankees or the Mets. And here is why I believe these meetings are important to talk about and why the Soto conversations with the Red Sox or the Jays are noteworthy. He is not the only free agent that Scott Boras has this offseason. And so whether or not the conversation ends up being about Soto, he's still, in terms of Scott Boras, he's still the same agent for a Corbin Burns, for Blake Snell, for any number of high-end position players. Pete Alonso is one more. So when you're sitting down with Juan Soto, let's not forget you're also sitting down with someone who represents 6 or 7 of the top 12 free agents in the industry right now. So I do think it's good for the Red Sox. They're having that conversation. And I'll say this about where the Red Sox fit into all of this. The Red Sox have their other franchise cornerstone guy in Rafael Devers signed long-term. The Blue Jays don't with Vladdy. And so that's the one piece of this with Toronto that just gives me pause. If Soto signs with the Jays, hypothetically, what do we know about where Vladdy's future is and where he might go a year from now? Do they have enough money to sign them both? With the Red Sox, at least we know that Rafael Devers is already signed under contract. I think that makes the Red Sox a little more appealing from a standpoint of how their lineup construction works because they've got their other guy there long term.
Okay, so there you have that. And so it's a couple interesting ways you can go with that. I'm telling you right now, I'm staying with the thought process that Juan Soto is not leaving New York. I'm not saying he's not leaving the Yankees, but I don't think he's leaving New York. I really don't. I think he is going to, and by the way, James, I'm glad you did catch the Pete Rose special. If no one is, if you haven't seen it, it should be under our Once Upon a Pastime playlist. November 7th is when we did it. It would be in our lives, and we're doing those every Thursday night going forward, unless there's a holiday, or like yesterday where I was incapacitated, unable to do such because I was with the doctor. We'll just say that. But anyways, the Juan Soto thing, I think he's either going to be a Yankee or he's going to be a Met, and it would be a crown jewel for the Mets to be able to steal Soto from the Yankees. Now, is he really a steal? No. He wasn't homegrown. But you get that they've always been looked upon as the little brothers, and if they can bring Soto from the Yankees to the Mets, that's a huge, huge deal. And also he gets to stay in New York, Madison Avenue, all that nonsense. And so I don't believe the Dodgers are real players in this. They've got so much money that they are putting into other players, and they have other needs that I don't think we'll call it an average outfielder, defensive outfielder. I won't say he's below average, but he's definitely not above average. And guy that can hit for power, hit for average, I get all that. But you're talking about $600 million is what it's sounding like he's asking for. I don't know if he's actually going to get that, but he's a Scott Boras client. So the key to this whole thing is because of Scott Boras, and he has some of your top, I think he has 6 of the top 10 free agents. Until that first one signs, that first domino falls of Juan Soto, it kind of logs everything up. But what we saw last year, just a reminder, last year it was December 11th that Shohei Ohtani ended up moving on from the Angels and signed with the Dodgers. So that was right around I actually think it was in the middle of the winter meetings. The winter meetings this year are December 8th through the 12th. And we will be covering that a lot this week, that week on Braves Country. Today we'll be covering any news that breaks. We'll do the Friday wrap-up show, but for folks who aren't familiar with the winter meetings, it starts on a Sunday night. They just kind of get settled in, and then you can expect we're going to have shows on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of that week. But we'll remind you as it gets closer, December 8th through the 12th. All right. So Other than that, that was the really big news. The other big news is a segment we're calling SNIT Happens.
If we keep playing like this, we'll be the laughing stock of the league.
Well, what do you expect? All we got on this team is a bunch of and a booger-eating moron. Bull. That booger-eating spaz make me want to puke.
All right. This is where we're at. Travis d'Arnaud, he gone. 2-year, $12 million deal, $6 a year. You got to realize that when Travis was let go, Travis was due 1 year, $8 million. So he got a pretty good deal for an aging catcher. He's going to be 36 next year. You could see the decline in Travis d'Arnaud. He's a fan favorite, not just here in Braves Country Radio, but Braves fans in general. Love Travis d'Arnaud. I've only seen a couple of knuckleheads say some really stupid things on X this week about letting d'Arnaud go. The fact of the matter is the guy's a clubhouse leader. He caught every single damn inning of the 2021 playoff run. And I get it. That's going to be 4 years removed by the time spring training hits. But to say that he won't be missed is a lie. Now, what it sounds like they were angling to do is it sounds like that they were angling for him to step down from playing and fill Sal Fasano's job as the Braves catching coach. He's not ready to hang it up. And look, you can't blame him for that. When a guy finally has to hang it up, that's it, man. That's it. He's done. He's done. And he knows that he can't, I'm going to go manage, coach this year, and then come back and play next year. Because once you sit down, especially an aging catcher, there is no way in hell you're coming back. So when you look at, I believe Heather's talking about, asking about Soler. Soler went to the Angels as well. Now, we covered that in past shows, but just a heads up with that, Heather, essentially Jorge Soler was a money move. It was to clear money to get more of an athletic outfield, because when Acuna comes back, Acuna is not going to be able to play right field every day. It's going to be like it was before. Now, this time, we're not expecting him back to closer to June, somewhere in the June area. It wouldn't shock me if we don't see Ronald Acuna Jr. till about midseason. We'll just say best case scenario around June. And when he does come back, and even let's say he comes back mid-May, whatever, don't expect him to play every day. So you're going to have some flexibility in your roster. And Jorge Soler, defensively, is a disaster out there in right field. I don't really understand why they never tried to put him in left field, but they thought he couldn't do it. Now, he has played left field, but realistically, Jorge Soler is a designated hitter that was on a team that has a designated hitter. And you can't have two, so they moved on. So that's all that was. It moved $12 million, and with releasing Travis, you're talking about 20. And we did more of a breakdown on this the other day, so I won't go back into it. But we did go, just look for Braves Country Today here on this channel. Look at the last couple of shows. We kind of went into that. Or the last show, last Friday, I guess it was. But that's essentially a money move. It's got nothing to do with not liking Jorge Soler. But you look at the Angels. I forgot to bring the logo to put in to load up, but there's a logo floating around. I'm sure I'll have it up and going at least by next year, but maybe next show. Someone's taken the Braves or the Angels logo and the Braves logo and kind of mixed them together, basically taking the Atlanta A and putting the halo above. So you're going to see it would not shock me if Max Fried goes and signs with the Angels, because he's from Southern California. I don't think he's going to get the money he's looking for from Atlanta. And then to top it off, the Dodgers don't really have the room, because people forget, not only is Glass now going to come back, not only is a couple of other players Guys like Shohei Ohtani. But they've got other guys who are on the mend who have high upside like Dustin May and whatnot. So you're talking about a loaded – starting pitching is not what is on the Dodgers' plate as far as spending money. They're going to shore up their offense. They figure they've got enough pitching to get through, and if they need something at the deadline, they've got enough financial flexibility to go ahead and grab it. So what the Braves are trying to do with moving all this money around, I do think they're trying to find an athletic right fielder, someone who can play right field, someone who has the possibility to play left field, and maybe even some center. Someone who can move around or use some options, because we're still going to have Laureano. Laureano's still on the books. I don't see them moving Kelnick. So you've got some options, but you need a decent bat so that when we hit game 1, opening day, you don't have Acuna and you don't have Strider. Neither one are expected back within about 20, we'll say 2025. We're expecting them both back about the same time, and I'm just earmarking June, but I have nothing to base that on other than they said 1 to 2 months. But with all that being said, you're talking about needing to have an outfield that is ready to have some flexibility, because not only so you can't, the thing is you can't go get a big time player, but you can get one of the top tier players. And one of the ones that I like for the Braves to go out and get would be someone like a Teoscar Hernandez. We'll do more on that here in a second. But the other thing we wanted to hit on the SNIT Happens, is the Tampa Bay Rays. If you missed this, the Tampa Bay Rays are going to be playing their games because of the hurricane that destroyed their stadium. They're going to be playing at Tampa Bay, but they're going to be at the Yankees spring training facility, and it's called George Steinbrenner Field. It houses about 11,000, so it's not a small facility. Let's be honest, most Rays games, except when they host teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox and the Braves, they don't typically clear 11,000 anyways. So you're going to have a different sort of home field advantage for the Tampa Bay Rays this year, because it's going to be, first of all, if you're not familiar with it, it is open air. So there's no dome. So they're going to be dealing with that, because one of the reasons why they always build a dome in Florida, it rains a lot. I'm sure most of y'all know that, even though they call it the Sunshine State. It's also the lightning capital of the world, so make that make sense. But they're going to be playing in a place it's going to have a little more friendly confine, and it wouldn't shock me if actually gives them a little more of an actual home field advantage. So we'll see how that plays out. The other thing that we want to hit off on, and I missed it on the first segment, is that the Braves streaming rights have been changed. So that broke on, Wednesday or Thursday? The Braves streaming rights, now they haven't fully announced what it entails, but I can give you an estimated guess or an educated guess on what is most likely going to happen. So if you're used to catching the Braves on MLB.TV, nothing changes. Nothing's going to change. Absolutely nothing's going to change. If you're out of market and you don't live in what you would consider the Braves area, meaning it gets blacked out if you buy MLB.TV. If you're outside that market, so if you're in Florida, if you're in New York, if you're anywhere but the area that is deemed, because everywhere in the United States there's one team that's considered that is their area, and the Braves reach into Middle Tennessee. They have parts of quite a bit of North Carolina, South Carolina, etc. But what it means, Alabama, Mississippi, all that. But anyways, the point is, if you were inside that market, that's who's going to get affected, not the people who live outside the market. So if you're on MLB.TV, nothing will change. So Bally is long gone. Bally folded up shop. Heather's asking about Bally. Bally had 5 filed for bankruptcy, and they left. They folded up about 4 months ago. It's now called FanDuel Sports. You're going to have that option if you're in the area, but there's going to be another option. Okay, there's another option. And what people believe it's going to be, it just hasn't been put in stone. The Braves put out a press release. They didn't get into any details because I'm sure they're still working out the odds and ends. But there are teams that already do this. I'm going to give you an example. Let's say if you're living in the New York area and you have your local cable network that has the Yes Network and you're a Yankees fan. It's going to be the easiest way to explain this. If you're streaming, and I don't know who Yes is all with, but I know at one point there was DirecTV. So we'll just say if you have DirecTV and you have the Yes Network, it wouldn't affect you. But if you have something that is streaming or you don't have cable or a streaming service like a YouTube TV, Hulu, Sling, whatever, you would have the option, like in Florida, where you can buy the streaming off of what is now called FanDuel. It's not called Bally's. Bally's is dead. Bally's filed for bankruptcy. This has been going on for about a year. Now, the other option that's going to pop up is a possible Amazon. So most people believe it's going to be Amazon. We just don't know the details. But if you think it's going to be some cheap add-on, it's not. If you think that, I've got Amazon and I'll get it because I've got Amazon, it's not. You're not going to get Amazon Prime and the Braves for free. It's going to be an add-on, and my guess would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 a month. It could be a little lower, it could be a little higher, but that's typically what you're going to pay, which means it's about what you pay now for MLB.TV. But hey, maybe we get surprised by this. There's talk about the Braves doing their own streaming off to the side, their own streaming app, which this could be going to. And if that happens, they may cut the price a little bit to entice you to go through them. But you already have that option on MLB.TV. You can pick just to watch the Braves. And if you do that, you pay less. It's not much less, but you pay less than if you get every team. I've always gotten the whole 9 yards because not only am I bringing you the game and I'm watching and I'm bringing the Braves game to you, but I'm also keeping an eye on what the Mets and the Phillies are doing because they're on different devices in the background. But that's me. If you're just interested in watching the Atlanta Braves, you could have an app coming to you. That's where this is all eventually going. I just don't know how quick they could build that. But right now, it's most likely going to be FanDuel, MLB.TV if you don't live in the area, and possibly a third, maybe even a fourth option, whether it's Amazon or whoever, because they're folks like Netflix are getting involved. But once again, it's going to be an add-on. It's not going to be included in your price. So there you have that. So, Heather, I don't know where you live, but the only way to get any of this stuff is to essentially stream it from now on. So you'll either, or you don't have to stream it off your smart TV. You could also watch it online. So there you have that. That puts a bow on that. All right, what's the next one on it? Rumor. That's the rumor.
That's the rumor. You retired too? Not me. I'm in my prime.
All right, that's the rumor. Talking about baseball rumors, whether it's trades, free agencies, the whole 9 yards. Anything that we're hearing close to the ground. All right, first thing that we're going to hit is we got two sound bites that I want to hit you with. Here's the first one, and then we'll get into the topic.
All right, I'm ready with updates. Here we go. Willy Adames, interest in him is very broad. There's a number of teams that love him at shortstop, and why wouldn't you? But also some that might consider him in a different position. We could see the Dodgers, the Giants, the Yankees, the Astros, if they don't re-sign Bregman. I love that idea, by the way. You put Adames potentially at third, Pena at short, Altuve at second. I would love that infield. The Braves are involved, I'm told, the Red Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays, who we know, we've heard plenty about their link to Juan Soto. They want to get a major free agent. Now, I just talked about potentially the Braves being involved in Adames. They also have some interest, I'm told, in Walker Buehler. Think about their pitching staff right now. Max Fried, free agent. Charlie Morton, free agent. Spencer Strider still coming back from elbow surgery. So for all these reasons, Walker Buehler, who we just saw shining in the postseason, the Braves are close to home for him. Of course, he's got the Kentucky roots. He pitched at Vanderbilt. It's a nice fit for him. I'd also mention the Chicago Cubs being a possibility for Walker Buehler. They're, of course, the final pitch of the World Series at Yankee Stadium.
All right, so a lot to unpack there. I don't think Willy Adames is realistically an actual destination for Willy Adames. We would love to have him. My God, would he fix a lot of issues. But the problem is, I think what you're probably looking at, honest engine, is somewhere around 6 years and somewhere north of $150 million. I think you're talking about 160. The projection that I saw from someone who's pretty close to the ground on it was 6 for 165. That's probably not happening. He can play third, he can play short, but he prefers to stay at short. That's the only thing that keeps us in the conversation. He prefers to stay at short. And if he goes to the Mets, obviously he's not playing shortstop. Francisco Lindor is going to get the shortstop position. So if he goes to third, that could be a thing that keeps us in the conversation. But like I said, it's not likely. I do think the Walker Buehler thing is likely. I'm a little gun shy because Walker Buehler has had a history of injuries. He's also had a bad history of coming back from said injury. So with all that being said, it's tempered expectation, but Walker Buehler could be an option. If you're asking me why I think that we moved Jorge Soler, Travis d'Arnaud, probably not bringing back Charlie Morton, though they're saying he wants to pitch in 2025, but unless he gives them one hell of a deal, a team-friendly deal, and I mean right at or south of 10, which is half of what he's pitched for the last several years, I don't see the Braves doing it because you've seen him lose his effectiveness. Now, there are times where he goes out and he's great, and I love Charlie, but he's in his 40s now, and he's a strikeout pitcher. That's not sustainable. By the way, USA baseball team going overseas to compete in the I believe there's 4 teams left. How about Rich Hill, 43, going about to be 44 years old, basically putting the team on his back, and getting the job done. So I have to get a round of applause for Rich Hill. I have no desire. Now, he's talking about wanting to pitch this year. I have no desire to see him in a Braves uniform. But a guy sitting there going into his mid-40s and still being able to pitch at a high level is pretty darn cool. I saw John talking about Sasaki. Sasaki probably wants to be a Dodger, but here's the thing. What keeps the Braves and other teams involved in being able to sign Sasaki, he's not expected to get a whole ton of money. First of all, he's posting 2 years early. If he waited 2 more years, he would get basically probably Yamamoto money. But he is a guy that wants to, he has said through his interpreter, he worries about his legacy. So he's coming over at 23 years old. There is a belief that he's not quite ready for the major leagues, but his numbers look outstanding. So you may be paying top dollar for a guy that will sit in the minor leagues, maybe not the whole year this year. Maybe he stays there and doesn't come up till next year. But you're going to sign him to a deal that's much cheaper. But the reason why most people believe he's going to the Dodgers is because his countrymen are sitting there with Yamamoto and Ohtani, and you got to figure that factors in because it really turns into a recruiting battle. He can sign wherever the hell he wants to, and if the money's not that much difference anywhere else, don't you think he's probably going to go to the the Dodgers. I do, or somewhere out west. He may decide not to go to the Dodgers and cut his own path, but once again, don't you want to be closer to home because the time difference is going to be so much different? And not to mention the fact if he decides to fly or he has family that wants to fly in, it's just Atlanta's not realistic. New York's not realistic. I figure Seattle. I figure Dodgers, Angels maybe, Giants. I think the Giants will be very active in that market. But anyways, let's play this other clip. But I think that what's realistic for the Braves pitching-wise is a couple of things, couple of moves, and we'll hit on that after I want to make sure I play this last clip.
We talked about Christian Walker. I like him as a possibility for the aforementioned Yankees, whether or not they re-sign Juan Soto. And I think in some ways, Matt and Ron, there is even broader interest right now in Christian Walker relative to Pete Alonso because the contract's going to be probably fewer total dollars and fewer years. He's also an elite Gold Glove defender at first base. And so if let's say Juan Soto signs with the New York Yankees, or even let's say if Pete Alonso signs elsewhere, I could see the Mets pivoting and loving it. The fact that they could potentially get Christian Walker. Look, 26 homers, 84 RBI in terms of an elite level defender in his early to mid 30s. He is one of the better corner infield defenders that we have seen in the game in recent years. And I would actually add the Seattle Mariners to that list too. They thought that maybe Mitch Garver was the answer for them at first base. Carlos Santana's got a pretty good resume in free agency right now as well. He wants to play still another couple seasons at least. So while we focus a lot on Pete Alonso, some good options are out there if you want to look elsewhere.
All right, so there you have that. Alonso, I don't think he's coming back to the Mets. Christian Walker, I think there's going to be another bidding war between the Yankees and the Mets over Christian Walker. Because if you think about it, Alonso's gone. I really do believe that Seattle would be the place for Alonso to go. They've got the money. It would be a very good atmosphere for him to go, and he could flourish out there in Seattle, especially in that stadium. I don't think somewhere like a Baltimore, I've seen that float around. It's not realistic. The right-handed bats in Baltimore have really taken a hit since they've changed the dimensions in left field. They've pushed it back. So if I'm Baltimore, I'm not spending a lot of money on right-handed power. What I believe is realistic is if you want some quick predictions, and of course I'll probably be wrong and I'll be wearing everything, wearing egg on my face next week, but I jotted a couple down. I think the Braves could be in on Teoscar Hernandez. It could be a thing. The question is going to be, is he willing to take a discount to stay in Los Angeles because he really enjoyed his time out there? Or do the Dodgers even offer him real money because they may be wanting to shift it elsewhere? But Teoscar Hernandez, right-handed bat, power bat in Atlanta, man, you're talking about some thumpers. You're talking about Riley, you're talking about Ozuna, and you're talking about Hernandez all from the right-hand side of the plate. And then eventually Acuna, right? And then from the left-hand side of the plate, a fully healed Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris, who was playing out of his mind at the end of the year, and then, of course, Matt Olson. So you'd have a really deep lineup. You still got the big hole, the big question at shortstop. And I'm hoping by next week we'll have a little more information, because when Adames falls, I still think we're a much better chance that we're going to get someone like a Han-Sung Kim, who can play all over and you can give multiple days off, but he can be essentially your shortstop. And then Arcia could kind of be the guy that comes off the bench. I don't think it's likely we bring Merrifield back because of some of the other moves we're making. And unless he's going to take a really club-friendly deal, they're going to go after 2 pitchers. Whether they get them or not is one thing. But I like Eovaldi and I like Buehler to possibly one, if not both. Now, here's the other one that I like, or 2 others. Jordan Montgomery. They're talking about Jordan Montgomery being on the trade block. He's owed $22 million, and the Diamondbacks may be willing to eat some of that. If that's the case, you can go ahead and say that the Braves are in on that. The Braves will be heavily in on that, especially if they're going to eat quite a bit of it. And we don't have to give up a top prospect. It's a 1-year rental. We'll take our chances. Jordan Montgomery carried the Rangers to the 2023 World Series. He and Blake Snell got terrible advice last offseason, and they came into camp late, and Montgomery never found himself. But Jordan Montgomery is an absolute bulldog. If I have my pick of all in the litter, it would be a rebounded Jordan Montgomery and Nathan Eovaldi. But you are taking the big risk of the injury. The other guy that's out there, because they are talking about doing a pretty big rebuild, is they are going to trade most likely Sonny Gray. And Sonny Gray makes a ton of sense. Sonny Gray from Nashville. Sonny Gray was rumored when he was a free agent to be headed to Atlanta. That could be a deal as well, but I'm a little more skeptical about that deal. Luke Jackson was released. There's very few moves that have been made, Heather. I see your comments. Very few moves have been made. They had to pay $2 million to not pay him $7 million, is what happened with Jackson, because it's in the contract. The Travis d'Arnaud contract, there was no stipulation on that. You either picked it up or you didn't pick it up. And looks like we're coming up on time, so I do want to make this kind of tight because we're about to lose everyone in radio land. So if there's really big news, we'll stay a little longer. But today, I think we pretty much put a bow on it. A couple other predictions. Corbin Burns, Houston Astros. I like him there. I think Max Fried is going to end up either a Met or possibly an Angel somewhere out west. Possibly the Dodgers, but they just don't seem to be in on the big picture when it comes to the big free agents in the arms this offseason. It seems more like they are more concerned about a couple of other issues, and the Dodgers are going to be trying to re-up on some of these guys and get some of these guys extended. So give me Max Fried to probably the Mets or the Angels, Alonso to Seattle, Juan Soto. I think he stays in New York one way or the other. We talked about that. Am I missing anything? Sean Manaea. I like Sean Manaea to go to Baltimore. Left-handed pitcher, keeps the ball on the ground. He would be devastating in Baltimore. I don't think the Mets are going to re-sign him. Profar is going to stay in San Diego. There's no way he doesn't. I would be shocked if he doesn't. Once again, Christian Walker. I think Seattle, the Mets, and the Yankees, I think those are the main players. But that's it. Slam up, sissies. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. We will see you next Friday. And you football fans will be back tomorrow. And baseball fans Thursday night, Once Upon a Pastime. And we'll have pop-ups. If you see a big Braves move, there's going to be a pop-up here. I just got to rush to studio. Y'all have a great one.